How's it going, everyone? It's a fucking beautiful day. Well, still not completely sunny around. For the past 4 days, it's been beautiful. It's just like, personally, I like the weather when it's chilly. Don't like the weather when it's really hot. It's probably because I lived in heat for like 10 years. But, so we're trying something new. We're doing this in the morning before we actually start doing the stuff that we're trying to focus on for like the future and good stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to pump as many like videos as I can, and the idea is for me to let go of everything that feels grindy, right? Like feels like I need to put an effort, so that the rest of the day I just spend with my computer writing code. And it's fascinating because anytime I open it and I start looking at what is in front of me, I can always be like, oh this, oh that, oh this, oh that. So there's a certain kind of like, it feels like I'm just not allocating enough time for it. And when I do that, I kind of feel guilty maybe. And when I feel guilty, I reflect on the things that I could be doing. And then I build some image in my head that's not really what's in front of me and all that stuff. How do you explain that to people? Like, I really think they experience this themselves. But yesterday I got excited and I wrote a couple of notes. Seated position. All right. Something about the seated position in Japan, and how its purpose is to numb your feet, and the idea behind it is so that you would not be able to move as fast as you would want in order to like attack or something like this. And it made me feel like when you're sitting in the actual, like when you're meditating and you're sitting in the lotus like seated position, the lotus seated position is kind of like one of those like humble, like responsive. I don't know, I was just thinking of stuff before I slept. But today's video is, and this is a good one because I've been talking about it for a while, and it shows you how far ago I wrote this note. I remember exactly when I thought of this note. So, selfishness is thinking of others while considering yourself. Selflessness is thinking of yourself while considering others. And here I was having a conversation with myself, naturally. In the morning, I was walking and I was thinking there's a difference between me and a friend of mine. Which is funny because like a week ago, she found this YouTube channel. So, hey, who knows? Maybe she will actually like understand, see what this is, and maybe it will be understood better. But so it's literally the energy that we're projecting. So if I am selfish, that means I'm thinking of myself, right? I don't think so. I think selfishness is considering yourself. I think selfishness is doing everything with yourself at the end goal. So you're no longer thinking about yourself at this time. You're only considering how whatever it is you're thinking about is impacting you. And I felt strongly about it, and I thought about it, and I went back, and I was like, you know, whatever somebody is kind of being altruistic, they're not really, they're not really supporting the other side. Whatever somebody's overwhelmed by the things that they're trying to do to people, they're not really doing like no, they're not really like actually fulfilling the role that supports them as like, why would you do this? Oh, I want to help them. Are they being helped? Most of the time, no. Because ultimately, when we start thinking of people, I believe that we're only considering our current position and what we had learned in this world. And we completely forget what they would actually like, what they could potentially take out of like a lesson or something like this. I don't know, it's like if somebody teaching you physics and you don't have a clue what physics is, or like you've never actually considered it. According to him, he's doing you a favor. According to you, it's just confused words going left and right. And I feel like we can attribute selfishness to that. Because if I'm doing something, but I'm considering me, it's like, why am I doing it? Versus why would you need it? Because why would you need it is more thinking of you, and that's the selfless approach. But who am I to kind of give you what you want and what you need? And it's a dance between two people. And all right, so let's think of it this way, or let's process something about when one of the two leading figures in psychology in the early 1900s or late 1800s, I think, I don't know, was Freud and then Carl Jung. Carl Jung had a different approach to things and he considered things differently. I prefer him over Freud, although Freud kind of makes sense, but he kind of like, when you want to plant seeds in the ground, you can't be stuck on the surface. You eventually have to consider like different roots and the environment and all that good stuff. But the reason I mention them is because Carl Jung, when he wanted to leave Freud, he sent him a message and he was like, it would be disrespectful if a student did not leave his teacher to kind of like pave the way. Because if he truly taught me, I shouldn't be under you anymore. I need to kind of evolve. And the reason I say that is, the reason I thought of it, I think, is because of the whole, when two people are actually engaging with each other, there has to be a mutual understanding. Most of the time, the resistance is because something is imposed. I'm sure all of us were in a situation where you kind of look at people and you go like, I'm trying to help you, or I want to help you, but you're not letting me, or something like this. And that reflects how poorly we are seen in the other's image. Because in order for you to be able to help somebody, they have to look at you as, they have to see you as the person that's able to help them, maybe, right? They have to like accept that you would be able to do something and not really make it worse. They have to not feel self-conscious around you. They have to, they have to, they have to, they have to. It's a fucking list that ends, that doesn't end actually. Just like we can continually create new stuff. Human beings are complex, as complex as they are simple. But if I'm going to do something when I'm thinking of myself, yet every single consideration around me is towards you, then even though my main focus is myself, the people that reap the benefit are everyone else around me. And I think in the sense of the meaning, that's true selflessness. It's true altruism. Because if I were to do you a favor, the best thing I should be doing is being better at doing favors. If I were to just support, grow, build, enhance, reach, service, learn, teach, all that stuff, it always starts with the stronger I am when it comes to it. And if my consideration is everyone else around me or the people that matter, if 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 I only think of myself because I'm the only person that I'm able to self-reflect with, right? Like I could say something and come back to it, and say something else and come back to it, and the back and forth between me and myself is, I can I can I can always hold myself accountable. I can always tell when I'm bullshitting myself. I can always tell when I'm not being honest. I can always tell when there's something hidden. It always comes up. I'm I'm if I'm intentionally trying to approach a thought process in my head, I could always come to an end with it. Why? Because I'm the closest thing there is to me. But when it comes to people, let's face it, hey, walls upon walls upon walls. Like imagine how hard it is for you to connect with yourself. And then you're trying to connect with people. So this is what people talk about, like, figure yourself out, know yourself before you start approaching people. And from my perspective, it's the divisive, divisive. what's the word I'm trying to look for? Whatever. It's the decisive. It's the decisive difference between selfishness and selflessness. When we're selfish, we're pretentious enough to think of others, but the truth is we're only going to be considering ourselves. How will I do it? What will I do about it? How can I push it? How would he understand it? That's all us considering ourselves. But we're thinking of others. And that's very arrogant, not because we're not capable, it's just because there's a lot of layers when it comes to people, especially you. But true selflessness is when you're like thinking of yourself every step of the way, but considering others and considering how they might actually, how you thinking of yourself is going to be utilized by the environment that you're in. Because it's a contribution, right? In both ways, you're trying to do something beyond you. But on one side, if you're kind of like a person that just entered the gym, you can only lift like 20 to 100 pounds maybe. But if you're a guy that's been doing it for like 6 months to a year, you can lift about 300. Which one's more effective in helping, right? When it comes to moving weight. And it's practically the same. To be selfless is literally to only think of yourself, because that's the only thought process that you're able to kind of like close. But to actually consider others while doing so is the honesty that people kind of like try to find. I think people try to seek, people try to get to the honesty. Like, this is why I'm doing it. Hey, it's a video, and it's a morning video. Yay!